Hey there, Poul Mark from Transcend Coffee. Haven't talked to you for a while and thought it was about time we got another video out of the hopper into the web world. And as you can see, we've gone off the ranch and we're on location at Eddie's Menswear. It's a menswear store in Edmonton, Alberta, where we abide. And we did a video here years ago, actually, and we thought, hey, let's come back and do another segment at this location. What I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about is this idea of sustainability. And I'm in the middle of writing a blog post, which will come out this week as well on this. But essentially, what I wanted to challenge you with is thinking about where the stuff you buy and comes from. And I think there's a growing trend within the marketplace, especially in North America. Well, not just North America. I think globally, that is concerned about. Especially at least in a dining situation, where does this come from? It's a question I ask a lot of the servers at restaurants that I go to, and it's where does this come from? Where does this beef come from? Where does this fish come from? We want to know whether or not the restaurateur is taking making any effort to source their product locally. And because it's important to me, and I think it's becoming growingly important to a lot of people out there. And when it comes to coffee, we sort of dealt with this a little bit in the past, but about local, and I'm not going to spiel the local thing too much right now, but I want to talk about sustainability in light of the surprising trend, at least from our perspective, that we're experiencing right now in the coffee industry. There's been a slide in the price of coffee on the C market, and it's down to historical lows. I think it's around 40 years since the coffee prices have been this low. We're almost. Yesterday, the prices were around $1.07. And last week, there was an article that ran nationally about Transcend Coffee that just articulated and illustrated the price that we pay for coffee, which is significantly higher. I think the price that was quoted in the article was something around $4.80. So we're talking almost a $5 gap between what we're paying for coffee on an average basis compared to what the market is paying right now. And obviously there's a difference in quality. The market is built around a commercial grade coffee price and is built around volume. And so that's really what drives that. But the question I want to ask, and I want you to think about, is that sustainable? We know from working with our producers that cost of goods and the cost of growing coffee runs in and around $2 a pound. And so if a producer is getting paid $2 a pound, if the producers it costs to produce $2 a pound to grow their coffee, and they're only getting, on a commercial level, $1.25, $1.50 even for those differentials above for better quality, is that sustainable? And my answer to that question is no, it's not. It's not a sustainable practice when producers get paid less for their product than it costs them to grow it. And the reason why we're standing in a place like Eddie's Menswear is Eddie's is a store that I value and respect in terms of how they choose to go about their business. There's another store just a few doors down called Aware. It's a women's store. And one of the things that I love about these stores is that they are actively involved in trying to source products that they sell to consumers that's made in Canada. And why is this important to me as a Canadian? Well, it's important because I want to support a local Canadian economy. The quality is much better. Canada Goose is sort of all the rage. I'm standing behind a whole wall of Canada Goose jackets, and these are made in Canada, and they're so popular now that there's knockoffs being made in other countries, filled with, you don't even want to know what some of these companies are using for filling, because Canada Goose is expensive, because the quality is impeccable, and the cost to produce a coat like this in Canada is actually high because we're paying sustainable wages to people that are sewing and making these coats. And so that's why the price goes up, but the quality goes up. And so I think what I'm asking you to do is to think about where does the stuff that you buy come from, and what kind of impact does your purchasing decision have on your local economy and the global economy? Because buying cheap stuff made in China or Indonesia or Bangladesh, which has been in the news recently, is cheap in your pocket, but it's not cheap in terms of a healthy, vibrant global economy, and it costs somebody something. And the same is true with coffee. When we look at only buying cheap and sourcing stuff that's bulk driven, it's not helping, because it might save you some money, but it's essentially costing somebody something. And what is unpalatable to many of us within the specialty coffee industry, the third wave industry, is that the prices that are currently being paid for the vast majority of the coffee being bought and sold all over the globe is perpetuating a global economy that is really based on sort of a poverty model, where people without power, without a voice, scattered across countries all over Africa and South and Central America, along the equator belt, who really don't have any real power in terms of a global economy, basically get taken advantage of, and that's just not okay. And so I'm not saying that we at Transcend have all the answers, that we're a bright and shining star in terms of the model, because in all honesty, what Transcend does is it's so small in terms of a global market. We roast less coffee in a year than a producer like Tim Hortons roasts in a day. We're talking 60,000, 65,000 pounds, and we've been told there are estimates out there that a place like Tim Hortons roasts 300,000 pounds in a day. So it's just, it's like apples and I don't know, apples and watermelons. We're not even talking the same language. But having said that, is the industry sustainable on an ongoing basis when producers who are growing a product, coffee, get paid less than it costs them to actually produce that product? And my answer to that is no. And so, not that I have any expectations that you're going to go out and instantly change all of your buying habits tomorrow, because it takes time, but I want you to think critically about how it is you go about making purchasing decisions, and understand that just focusing on cheap costs somebody someplace, and ultimately it hurts us here at home. And that's something important to think about. So yeah, I think that's the message today. Sustainability is an important word, an important concept. It's not just about environmental sustainability, it's about economic sustainability. Does the price that you pay for something ensure that the people that work to produce it or grow it can actually have a sustainable life and be part of the global community that we're quickly becoming? And so whether it's coats or shirts, I'm wearing a Canadian shirt, Canadian pants, made in Canada pants, made in US shoes, so but close enough. Whether it comes to clothing or food or coffee, I encourage you to think about where is it coming from, and what kind of impact are you having by the way you spend your money on this global community and this global world that we live in. All right, hopefully that's something to chew on. And until next time, drink less more often. Cheers.